Over the past couple of weeks, the mainstream Democrats, the DNC, have been on a rampage against Hassan Piker. Obviously, the reasons for this are pretty straightforward. Hassan Piker represents pretty much the only swell of electoral energy in the country right now. Apart from people who are voting for Democrats because they hate Republicans, I mean, Hassan's literally just spent the past 3 or 4 months nonstop advocating for people to vote for Democrats. He's pretty much the driving force right now behind the left populist wave that is the only hope for this dying country. But the Democrats finally got what they were looking for, a Republican attack to co-sign. So here's Mike Rogers, who has found himself a nasty little clip off of DSA Watch, which is also a faux liberal institution designed to keep the left from gaining power within the Democratic Party.
And you want to know why? Because people don't fuck with Israel any longer. And if Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews. Okay? We're teaching people the wrong lesson. I don't know how people don't recognize how dangerous this predicament is, how dangerous this is for Jews. You're running around basically tying your...
DSA Watch, Lamau, they can't even create their own ideas. I'm pretty sure DSA Watch is the account that, yes, this account was created just like 2 months ago and gained 1 billion followers essentially overnight. They botted the fuck out of this account, known probably Israeli money. At any rate, Hassan here made, funnily enough, Hassan in this clip, so this clip here, here's how it's being framed. Hassan Piker tells American Jews to stop supporting Israel or else. Mike Rogers jumped in it. More calls for violence coming out of the El-Sayed campaign. Here's his running mate, Hassan Piker, saying that if American Jews support Israel, they will be violently targeted for it. This is all in reaction to Michigan Democratic congressional candidate Jeremy Moss, who happens to be Jewish, saying he's unsure if he will be able to support Abdul for these very reasons. Absolutely disgusting. If Abdul El-Sayed had any courage at all, he would call this out and disavow, etc., etc. This wasn't even ambiguous from Hassan. No, of course not. Hassan is making, funnily enough, the exact same point, essentially word for word, that was made by Ezra Klein just a couple of months ago. In fact, when it happened, I covered it. Here, let me go and find it. This is from an Ezra Klein article. Ezra Klein, not exactly DSA's finest warrior. Anti-Zionism is rising as a threat to what Israel is doing. It will simply not be possible to treat it as a marginal viewpoint that can be shamed or shunned into invisibility. Yes, anti-Semitism often cloaks itself in anti-Zionism. So don't do the anti-Semites' work for them. If you keep telling people that if they oppose the Jewish state, then they must hate the Jewish people, eventually they will believe you. A rare W from Ezra Klein, pretty unambiguously correct here. Everyone knows it. Everyone agrees with it. Hassan Piker is essentially just saying that exact same thing here, that if Zionists continue to conflate Zionism and Judaism, and if they keep saying that supporting Jewish people means supporting death and genocide, that means people are going to make the decision to not support Jewish people any longer. The Zionists' bid here is that by tying Zionism to Judaism, they're essentially saying that bigotry is the moral choice, that bigotry, anti-Semitism, is the choice one makes in opposing genocide, in opposing ethno-nationalism. It's deeply anti-Semitic, but we all know Zionists are anti-Semitic. Anyway, the real sad bit here, so Mike Rogers went after him, no one cares, 6,000 likes, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, as is so often the case with disingenuous bad faith attacks directed against leftists from within the establishment, another spine has been broken beneath the wheel. Abdul El-Sayed responds, "My statement on Hassan Piker's comments regarding Jeremy Moss. Sad, very sad, very sad. Just a obvious, unambiguously bad electoral move here. We all know that you never want to elevate bad faith arguments against your side, because when you do so, you know who we all used to understand this over? Blair White. Blair White had like a multi-year streak where her entire channel was, look at this crazy, ugly, predatorial trans woman. And like, I guess in a vacuum on its own, it's good to be against predatory people. But the whole point of her channel was elevating all of the bad faith right wing attacks made against trans people, just not, for her. I mean, everyone understands it when it's directed that way, but at any rate. Statement from Abdul El-Sayed. I believe all Americans deserve the right to advocate for what they believe without fear of violence. This is particularly true for communities that have been intimidated for their beliefs in the past. So what he is doing right here is he is validating a lie. Hassan did not advocate for violence against Jewish people. That just was not what the clip contained at all. Like Ezra Klein, the clip from Hassan was one in which he was saying the continued effort to conflate Zionism with Judaism will increase anti-Semitic violence. This is objective and inarguable. To pretend that Hassan suggested that Jewish communities deserve violence or whatever, or to make that from a descriptive to a normative statement is just dishonest. My commitment to Jewish safety is the same as my commitment to the safety of my own daughters. Again, like another spine breaks beneath the wheel. Anti-Semitism is a scourge, and we need to address it in all its forms. And I stand against any rhetoric that puts the community at risk. But I want to be crystal clear, nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokesman. And while politicians and pundits try to make this race about a Twitch streamer, we're going to be talking about gas, groceries, good schools, healthcare, blah-de-blah-de-blah. No, it's really bad. It's pathetic. I don't know what kind of internal pressure Abdul El-Sayed was subjected to here, but it's worth noting that shortly after he made this statement, Hakeem fucking Jeffries came out and vague tweeted about Hassan. The malicious claim that American Jews are inviting violence against themselves is dangerous and anti-Semitic. It's all the same Chat GPT, Claude, boring copy and paste. We're concerned. We're concerned about anti-Semitism. Everyone is anti-Semitic. We've all heard this before. There is zero justification for the threats against the safety of our Jewish brothers and sisters. Again, like hopefully I don't need to. It's not just anti-Semitic. It's wrong. Yeah, exactly. You mean the guy who would meet behind the scenes with Jared Kushner to come to an agreement would elevate disingenuous bad faith attacks against the left? By the way, Jeremy Moss has still refused to endorse Abdul. Yeah, of course. Obviously. Why? Yeah. No. Jeremy Moss is a disgusting, Zionist shill, many such cases, et cetera, et cetera. But like nothing that Hassan said, we can see the whole clip, by the way. Here's a longer version of the clip. By the way, the short version of the clip that we saw here from DSA Watch, nothing wrong was said here. There is absolutely nothing wrong, morally or factually, with saying that the conflation of Zionism and Semitism raises anti-Semitism. It's again, it's literally the same thing that Ezra Klein said. We can watch the whole clip, at least until I get bored of listening to Hassan talk. Like we can, there's nothing here.
Sure, what he has
this
to
is
do
not weak Democrats caving to Republicans. Jeffrey, Schumer, and the rest of them are loyal slaves of Israel and the capital interest they represent, and have been looking for any opportunity to jump on.
That's what it is.
Sorry. Why did I click and it still played? Why I click once, it still plays? Let me repeat what I said. This is not Democrats being weak. This is Democrats folding in exactly the way they're designed to. They have been waiting for an opportunity to jump on Hassan. This is not the first time. They are desperate to keep left influence out. Like Chuck Schumer said, he considers it his job to keep young Democrats pro-Israel. It's not weakness. It might be weakness from Abdul El-Sayed, but this is just a uniparty attack on left influence within the DNC. This is them doing their jobs.
I wonder what he has to do to gain the support of Oakland County's Jewish community. Yeah, he has to drop his critiques of Israel. That's what it is. Now, is Oakland County's Jewish community in unison making this demand of Abdul El-Sayed? No, of course not. But if there isn't opposition from Jewish figures in this community that are loud about the divergence between this representative and their own desires, then the media narrative will set in. Even if they don't realize that this media narrative presents Jews as single-minded and singularly.
Not gonna lie, I feel bad for Hassan lately. He's been in the shit for months now. Well, he's unfortunately been put in the position of being the spokesman for an effort to save the country and the Democratic Party. The last thing the Democratic Party wants to do is win. They are designed to lose. They are controlled opposition. To whatever extent you want to say this is willful behavior on their part or merely circumstantial, it's immaterial. It is, again, the purpose of a system is its outcome, and this is the outcome. A cacophony, a chorus of centrist Democrats deliberately, knowingly, intentionally elevating dishonest attacks against a leftist in an effort to sink his influence within the party and by adjacency, sink Abdul El-Sayed. It is absolutely 100% deliberate. And they are doing what they are meant to do.
Invested in the continuation of the Israeli apartheid. I don't know how many different ways I can explain this. I don't know how people don't recognize how dangerous this predicament is, how dangerous this is for Jews. You're running around basically tying your entire identity to a country that inevitably will be seen as basically Jewish ISIS. And you're saying, as Jews, this is all we care about. You're making anti-Semitism worse. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Mike Rogers is endorsing a one-year moratorium.
Okay, it seems like he's onto a new topic now. Does he diverge back to the central topic?
And with that reality, they want Abdul to take a less popular and immoral position, a position that he does not hold. It's totally ridiculous, and we should not let these people forget. We should not let others forget what shameless positions that they are holding.
The attacks against Hassan Piker should be viewed as an attack from the DNC establishment against its own constituency, against its own party. Remember, the reason people are going after Hassan has nothing to do with him as a person. He is a figure who represents a set of ideas. When it comes to what Hassan supports, the ideas that he represents, the stuff that he talks about publicly and has been advocating for, his positions are, basically to a T, the majority ones. Nobody is showing up to Abdul El-Sayed's rallies to see him or Hassan because they think 9/11 was good. No matter how many times Democrats and Republicans attempt to distill the entirety of Hassan's political action down to 9/11 was good, which is, of course, a misstatement of what he said. But we all know they love lying. Zionists always lie. It's all they can do. They lie as easily as they breathe. It is an attack instead against the voter base. When Hassan is attacked, it is because he is saying things the average Democratic voter supports. It is not for any other reason. I saw these, IMEU policy. The IMEU Policy Project recently did some polling statewide in several states of Democrats, and the answers that they received are shocking. In South Carolina, is Israel committing genocide against Palestinians? Yes, 57%. No, 4%. 39% don't know. Keep in mind the average American voter knows nothing. This is a 53-point positive spread. Or, if you want to do the math another way, 14 times as many people who vote Democrat or who are likely to vote Democrat in the state of South Carolina believe that Israel's committing a genocide than don't. Should the U.S. sanction Israel? 3-1 in favor of yes. Would you prefer to support a candidate for president who will cut off weapons to Israel or will provide weapons to Israel? 65 versus 4. Hassan's positions on Israel are, let's be real here, mainstream. They're not even leftist anymore. Like basically everything leftists have historically advocated for, they have become the norm. Much as the, 9 to 5 workday, 5-day work week, and the abolishing of child labor were originally radical pro-labor proposals, they are now considered to be normal. Even in the United Kingdom, which is falling as rapidly as we are, they consider their NHS to be normal, when, of course, the implementation of an at-point of purchase free healthcare system was radical when it was implemented, as radical now as it is in America. It was radical then, and still now they consider it normal. We are the ones who define normalcy, but always too late. Our radical becomes tomorrow's normal. And 3 years ago, the positions that Hassan had on Israel would have been considered radical, but no longer. It's over now. This was another state they looked at. From Virginia, likely Democratic primary voters. Is Israel committing the genocide? 72 to 6. 72 to 6. Like I said, these are mainstream positions. The Democratic Party is not pushing back against Hassan. They're pushing back against their own voters. They know perfectly well what the voters want. They know that the average Democratic vote, hell, not even the average Democratic voter, the average American voter, because it's not like Republicans are perfectly in lockstep on this, and independents lean towards being anti-Israel. The average American voter is anti-Israel and does not want us to support them in their quest for genocide and the death of all living things. They don't want the omnicidal Israeli agenda to continue to dictate American politics. They want improvements to our healthcare system. Whether or not they support Medicare for all is immaterial because the average voter is subhumanly retarded and does not know what Medicare for all is. It's been over a decade since the concept initially made it into the mainstream. The average voter has not Googled the term once. They're stupid. Like cattle, they are led to their positions. So whether or not they support Medicare for all has very little to do with its actual policy merits and everything to do with how people feel about the state of American healthcare. And if you ask Americans how they feel about the state of American healthcare, a vast majority say that it's broken. Even on the right, they say it's broken. The positions they are attacking Hassan over are the positions held by a majority of Americans. And when they're reminded of this, they lie, as Zionists always do. They pretend that you'll say, what Hassan's advocating for here is mainstream. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, you think the average American liked 9/11? Again, they know they're lying when they say this. That's the point. If they didn't like lying, they wouldn't be doing this in the first place. Look at Michigan's numbers, same poll. Oh, this is the full dealio. 76% believe there's a genocide against Palestinians. 6% believe no. Jesus Christ, plus 70. Plus 70 in a swing state. Do you favor or oppose continuing to give taxpayer-funded weapons and other military support to Israel? 4% in favor. 76% opposed. This, again, genuinely, Democrats have their minds more made up on Israel than they do almost any other issue. Genuinely, I think these are comparable to numbers that we would get if we asked people how they felt about gay marriage or miscegenation. I think if you asked likely Democrat primary voters how they feel about gay marriage or abortion, more of them would be like, than they are here. It is a shockingly mainstream position, and it is for this that they are attacking Hassan, castigating him, subjecting him to nonstop. You know that Fox News has mentioned Hassan's name several times more over than the Iran war in the past couple of weeks? Like, if they've mentioned the Iran war 30 times, they've mentioned Hassan Piker 150 times. This is New Mexico, not Michigan. Oh, did I scroll down? Oh, I must have just read Michigan. I'm sorry. I've been getting like no sleep every night. I apologize. And one of the things I've already packed up or gotten rid of is like the comforts in my bedroom. So I feel like I'm sleeping in a hotel. I am very tired. New Mexico, not Michigan. I mean, it doesn't change my point at all. It just means I can't read. It just means I'm a silly boy, really. Yeah, no. Meanwhile, from the Mike Rogers camp, a scandal you probably haven't heard of, Mike Rogers announces members of outreach team who, quote, defended Hitler group chat and spread misogynistic comments. Breaking reporting from the Detroit Metro Times reveals that failed GOP Senate candidate Mike Rogers announced members of his campaign outreach team who complained about women in politics and another who was tied to and defended a leaked Young Republicans group chat filled with praise for Hitler, gas chamber jokes, racial slurs, and rape comments. Genuinely, how many times have you seen mainstream Zionist media bring up the fact that the entire Republican Party is filled with Hitler stooges? You haven't heard it at all. It's because they're fine with it. Of course, Republican neo-Nazis pose absolutely no threat to Israel or to the Zionist agenda because they're fundamentally aligned. Like Israel, they have no real vision for the future. They just have an immediate short-term populist zealousness that can only be sated with the blood of innocents. It's like how American groypers don't actually want to build anything political. They just want to kill because a black guy fucked their high school crush or whatever. Really, really, really nasty stuff there. But it's all they care about. And Israel is much the same way. I'm sure that much like American neo-Nazis, Israel is like 98% politically fueled by cuckold, race play cuckoldry, the only thing Nazis care about. I just read in a poll shows 41% of Republicans hold an unfavorable opinion of Israel. Yeah, look at what the independents think too. Keep in mind that independents in America are a larger group than either Democrats or Republicans. Look, I'm sorry. I'm trying to come up with like a constructive ending to this, but there's really like no way of framing it, I think, other than the Democrats are trying to lose because they would literally rather allow the country to die than to give up on Israel. And as I've said a million times before, Israel, it has nothing to do with Jewish people. It's not fundamentally about Jewishness. It has everything to do with it being a wedge issue and a bulwark of capital interest. Sometimes it's okay to say it's just bad. No, 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 because then people get mad at me. Then they get mad at me. Then they're like, where's your solution? You all seen this lady? This is a Democrat, a House member from the state of Michigan, and just a filthy Zionist. I mean, one of the more depraved ones, who issued a statement the other day. Today, Congresswoman Hillary Scholten issued the following statement after Twitch streamer Hassan Piker said American Jews who support Israel are inviting violence. Everyone's jumping on this one, you see. This is a Democrat, by the way, not that it really means anything. There's no such thing as a Zionist liberal. Hassan Piker quote tweeted her, pointing out that she is an Israel First Congresswoman with a possible cheating scandal with a Republican in the state. And here's her response. And I like this response because it's a reminder that all Zionists are completely inauthentic. Tell me if you get a sincere read from this. Not Hassan Piker daydreaming about being me, as if. Keep dreaming, pal. Eyes rolling emoji. There's only one of us hurting the chances of a Democratic majority in November, and it ain't me. It's a small gift to us that the Zionist has grown so contemptuous of democracy that they can't even disguise their contempt and inauthenticity when getting a dunk in. You know what I mean? Like, this reminds me a lot of Kirsten Sinema, where when she got bought and started pivoting to the right, she did so in a really obviously contemptuous way. She didn't like pretend to have changed her mind. She was like openly having fun with being evil. And this reminds me a little bit of that, I guess. I guess it's just like a small gift to us rhetorically that all Zionists are either openly contemptuously dishonest in a way that's pretty easy to read, or they cite ChatGPT for all of their points. Like every time they make a statement, even short ones, it has to be funneled through ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or whatever. Yeah. At any rate, unsurprisingly, the people leading this campaign, against Abdul El-Sayed and Hassan Piker, have no interest in actually changing their mind. Here's Democrats for Mike Rogers, an obvious op, no doubt Israeli money. Another fake condemnation from Abdul El-Sayed. Notice he never actually condemns Hassan Piker's calls for violence against Jeremy Moss. This is like very 101, so I expect anyone who follows politics to already understand this, but if you don't, I guess like I'll explain it to you now. All Republicans do is lie. They cannot tell the truth. They lie about everything. They lie even when it's inconvenient for them to lie. They are literally compulsive liars. Their political project is built not only on dishonesty, but anti-truth. If something is true, it is their enemy. Even if that thing that's true is convenient to them, they will often lie. They can't help themselves. They're an anti-empirical political project. So, if they ever have a claim to make against you, if they ever have a point, they're lying. And if you ever see them ground, no matter how you do it, no matter how honest or dishonest their accusation or dunk on you seems to be, you are always doing yourself a disservice. Never apologize to these people. Never give them any ground. For one, in this case, an apology is openly dishonest. Like, Abdul El-Sayed is lying about what Hassan said here. but it's also electorally damaging. The point that I'm trying to get at here is that this isn't about Hassan. I don't really care about Hassan's personal popularity. He's doing fine. He clears more than I do, that's for sure. What I care about is Abdul El-Sayed winning, though I gotta say, right now he's doing everything he can to diminish my enthusiasm of the prospect. And this makes him less likely to win. Now, for the rest of the race, everyone will talk about how Abdul El-Sayed acknowledged that he has been running alongside an anti-Semite. This is just a win for Republicans. No benefit is gained from this. Nobody who actually believed Abdul El-Sayed was anti-Semitic is going to have their minds changed by him capitulating to a dishonest attack against Hassan. It's ridiculous. This has nothing to do with Hassan. I don't care how people feel about Hassan. It has everything to do with his electoral chances. So, bad strategy, bad idea, and just deeply, deeply stupid. No doubt he was subjected to a lot of pressure internally. Considering the fact that party leadership is also talking about Hassan here, just really disgusting stuff. The Democrats would rather lose to Republicans and allow you and your children to be raped to death by the unfeeling tide of oligarchy than they would win if it made giving up any support for Israel. So you think El-Sayed knows he's condemning a false narrative? Yes, I think that El-Sayed knows that he is lying here. He's not stupid. He can watch the clip and form his own opinions. He was told what to say here. Unfortunately, I think that political discourse has been, like, a lot of damage has been dealt to it by the never attribute to malice what is better explained by stupidity. That's meant to apply to, like, interpersonal beefs. Like, usually if a person has wronged you interpersonally, it's because of stupidity, not malice. That's true. In politics, where billions of dollars are spent on maintaining the agendas of the most evil people alive, who openly lie day in and day out, it's never stupidity, it's always malice. That phrase was not meant to be applied to politics. I've been playing a game where you try to win as the SPD party from 1928 to stop the Nazis from taking power, and it's crazy how it's just the same situation. The only difference is the SPD actually tried to win. This is true. Comparisons are often made to the Weimar Republic, but the SPD, while it was definitely disproportionately committed to fighting against communist influence, and they made a bunch of really, really bad moves, I would argue that the SPD was much more interested in stopping Hitler and the Nazis than the Democrats are today. I don't think that the direct comparison, that is to say, the SPD and Nazis served the same masters who told the SPD to lose because it was preferable to, contradicting the interests of their betters. I don't think that happened in Germany. I think it's happening here. Nasty stuff. The most annoying chatter of all time treated the SPD and Nazi Party as one and the same. I wouldn't say the Democrats and Republicans are one and the same, but I would say that people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are so committed to being Zionist slaves that the functional outcome of their control over the Democratic Party is to make it ideologically complacent in the face of the Republicans winning. And the Republicans have won. They have won enormously. Project 2025 is more than 50% implemented. Like, they're getting to do everything they've wanted, and even the most competent, powerful Democratic presidents in one term could not even come close to undoing a quarter of the damage done by the Republicans over the past not even 2 years. The Republicans have won. The destruction of the country is what they want. When the country falls apart, when gas prices skyrocket, when grocery prices skyrocket, when housing becomes even more unaffordable, hard as it is to believe, when the markets crash, all of this is what they want. They don't care. We need a benevolent dictator with enough social power. It might be the only way. I again, like, to avoid the prescriptive statements here, I think that it's factually demonstrable that regardless of the level of their imagined level of benevolence, democracy is pretty much on its way out. The closest thing we can really get to democracy now, the closest thing we can hope for, is possibly the worst case scenario, managed democracy, which is not what we want. Far more than just, what is it called? That video game term, Helldiver's term. It refers to a democracy where the outcomes of the democracy are basically controlled to the point of it not being won meaningfully. It's a democracy, but everyone's votes are predictable and controllable enough that the outcome that you get from the democracy, you might as well just have an authoritarian dictatorship.